Welcome back, everyone, to your ACFCS Tip of the Week. This is Brian Monroe, Vice President of Content here at ACFCS. Breaking news. Big and Tall menswear owner Thornton Mellon was named in a massive college admissions scandal for allegedly paying for his son to get on the school's diving team by buying the school's new University Business Center. If that sounds familiar, that's actually the plot of the 1986 Rodney Dangerfield hit Back to School, which ironically enough starred Robert Downey Jr. But that's also a very similar plot to what's making headlines today, very salacious headlines. And I'm sure you've heard of this massive college admissions scandal that involves tens of millions of dollars, dozens of individuals, parents, the most elite universities in the country. Now let's get into some of these details. Now, probably why you've heard about it is the celebrity ties. These names are going to sound very familiar to you. Felicity Huffman of Desperate Housewives fame. She apparently used different techniques to try to get her children into school that they wouldn't have been able to get into otherwise. Lori Loughlin of the Full House and Fuller House fame. Now, what has happened here is there were dozens of individuals. These include CEOs, actresses, university athletic coaches, college exam administrators that were involved in a nationwide conspiracy that facilitated cheating on college entrance exams and the admission of students to elite universities as, in some cases, purported athletic recruits, even if they didn't have any athletic abilities to speak of. Now, these include athletic coaches from Yale, Stanford, USC, Wake Forest, and Georgetown. At the heart of this whole scheme was a both for-profit and not-for-profit entity run by William Rick Singer. Now, he owned and operated the Edge College and Career Network, a for-profit college counseling and prep business, and served as the CEO of the Key Worldwide Foundation, a nonprofit corporation that he established purportedly for charity. Now, this went on for several years, between roughly 2011 and early 2019. Singer allegedly conspired with dozens of parents, athletic coaches, the university athletics administrator, and others to use bribery and other forms of fraud to secure the admission of students to colleges and these colleges and universities that we mentioned. Also charged in their involvement are 2 SAT and ACT test administrators. So this was corrupt, rotten all through it. Now, there were 3 key pieces to this scheme in order for it to happen. Bribing SAT and ACT exam administrators to allow a test taker to secretly take college entrance exams in place of students or to correct the students' answers after they had taken the exam. Point 2, bribing university athletic coaches and administrators, including coaches at Yale, Stanford, Georgetown, USC, and the University of Texas, to facilitate the admission of students to these elite universities under the guise that they were athletes. Now, I'm sure you've seen in the coverage of this individuals with doctored photos. You're taking the head of this famous person, putting them on an athlete's body. Maybe they're playing water polo. The image that's going around is rowing. These people that are rowing, and they're photoshopping the heads of famous children onto the bodies of legitimate athletes. Now, number 3, using the facade of Singer's charitable organization to conceal the nature and source of the bribes. Now, these are where major AML, anti-money laundering pieces are going to be that banks need to be aware of. So let's go through some of these. For the perspective of an AML compliance officer, if you have any connections to these institutions, as particularly Singer's operation, this charity, there's going to be a lot of questions asked from you. Now, mind you, we know that in most cases, banks will not have all the pieces to the puzzle where they have an account with the charity, an account with maybe, so they can see the money moving in and out, but they don't see where the payment is going to, the bribe payment. But potentially there's some banks that might have had this relationship, so that's more questions will be asked of them. So let's get into this. AML Tethers aplenty into this. Does it make sense if you had a relationship with this charity to see millions of dollars coming into the charity and then very quickly millions of dollars then moving out from very well-known famous people and then moving back to these schools? This money is supposed to be earmarked for individuals with low income, individuals that are supposed to be charitable causes to help get into these schools, to help get education they would not otherwise have access to. Now, if banks didn't do enough due diligence on these charities, they could potentially get more regulatory scrutiny. Now, like I said before, the most scrutiny will come if you're a bank that you saw both pieces of the puzzle. You have the charity that is getting this money. You have the charity paying these bribes to these administrators. And if you're a bank that had accounts at both, you can see the whole bribery cycle in action. You better hope not just that you saw that you did the due diligence at the front end, but that you filed suspicious activity reports on the back end. Now, this is where I get to my last point. Very important. SARs and stars. Don't get stars in your eyes when it comes to filing AML, suspicious activity reports, SARs, on these stars. And here's why. When you have more wealth and access, these clients are more risky, not less. Although you might want to say you would love to be able to say that your bank banks Brad Pitt, or to be able to say you are the exclusive check provider to Jennifer Lawrence, you have to realize these individuals can get access to vast sums of money. And in some cases, use that in an attempt to benefit their family members and beat the system. And in this case, that happened with their sons and daughters. So any ties to this, you need to know about it. Now, if you have any more questions about ACFCS, the association, the certification, the training we have, interactive online training, or the incredible array of member benefits, please go to acfcs.org. And let me ask you as well, I question you to the community, what are you going to do differently, compliance professionals, in the wake of this news? Are you going to treat charities differently? Are you going to treat charities differently if they are there to help educational institutions? I want to know. I want to get your thoughts on that so we can share it with the greater financial crime and compliance community. Anyway, thank you for listening. Until next time.